Nobody wants you, her sister laughed, and the champagne glass slipped from Elena Marlowe's tray before anyone noticed the blood on her palm. The silver tray tilted, the wine glass shattered, and beneath her trembling thumb was a seating card with her own name crossed out in blue ink. Over it, someone had pasted two cruel words: service staff. Across the wedding hall, Dante Bellini stopped moving before he ever understood why. 3 hours earlier, Elena had stood in the service corridor behind the Grand Bellini Hotel, tying a black apron over the only dress she owned that didn't make her feel like she was apologizing for her body. The apron was too tight across her waist, the string biting into her back, but she pulled it into a neat bow anyway. Her mother used to say neatness was the one thing poor girls could control. Elena controlled the napkins. She controlled the water glasses. She controlled the shake in her hands when the wedding planner looked her up and down and said, "Your sister thought you'd be more comfortable helping instead of sitting. More comfortable. That was how people cut you when they didn't want blood on their gloves." The ballroom beyond the double doors glowed with candles, ivory roses, gold-rimmed plates, and people who laughed like rent had never been late. Elena knew every table number without checking the chart. She knew the senator at table 6 needed no shellfish. She knew the little boy at table 3 had a nut allergy because she had served his family twice before and watched his mother panic over a mislabeled dessert. She knew the exit near the east wall jammed unless you lifted the handle before pushing. What she did not know was why her invitation had disappeared from the family table. Her old phone buzzed once in her apron pocket. A message from her sister, Vivian. "Wear the apron. Smile. Don't embarrass me tonight." Elena stared at it until the screen went black. Then she slid the phone away beside the folded seating card she had found in the trash by the bridal suite. Her name had been printed perfectly.
Elena Marlowe.
Table 1. Family. Then crossed out. When she entered with a tray of champagne, the conversations thinned. First, then died. Her mother saw her and looked away. Vivian stood beneath the chandelier in a white silk gown, small as a blade, beautiful as a lie. She came close enough to kiss Elena's cheek for the cameras, but her lips barely moved. "Look at you," she whispered, smiling for the room, still trying to fit where no one made space. Elena kept both hands under the tray. "The boy at table 3 can't have the almond cake." Vivian blinked, irritated that cruelty had not landed cleanly. "Nobody wants you," she said softly. "Not as a daughter, not as a woman, not even as a guest." That was when the glass fell. Silence spread across the ballroom like spilled ink. Elena bent to pick up the shards before the child could step closer. At the far end of the hall, Dante Bellini rose from his chair. He had heard insults before. He owned rooms where men begged without raising their voices. But this was different. The waitress did not reach for sympathy. She reached for the seating card before anyone else could see it. And when Dante's eyes dropped to her bleeding hand, he saw the blue ink on her thumb matched the ink that had erased her name. The blue ink was not wet anymore, but it had left a faint stain on Elena's thumb, the kind that did not belong to spilled champagne or broken glass. Dante Bellini noticed it before he noticed the way the room pretended not to watch him cross it. Elena closed her bleeding hand around the seating card as if hiding it could still protect someone, though no one in that ballroom had protected her. "Elena," her mother whispered sharply, catching her wrist before she could stand. "Go to the kitchen. Please, don't make this worse." The word please sounded soft, but her fingers pressed directly into the cut. Elena did not pull away. She only looked down at her mother's hand, then at the hidden card, then at the child near table 3 reaching toward the almond cake. "He can't eat that," Elena said. Her voice was quiet, but it crossed the silence cleanly. A server froze with the dessert plate halfway down. The boy's mother blinked, checked the tiny allergy band on his wrist, and went pale. For 1 second, the room had to admit Elena had seen something they had not. Then Vivian laughed, light and polished, placing one hand over her heart as if embarrassed for everyone. "She does this," she told the guests. "She notices little things and makes them dramatic. It's how she feels useful." A few people relaxed. That was the cruelty of a beautiful woman with perfect posture. She could hand the room a lie and make it feel like manners. Dante stopped beside the broken glass but did not kneel. He looked at the cake, the child, Elena's bleeding hand, and the apron stretched across her middle. Near the hem, almost hidden beneath a smear of cranberry sauce, was an old silver swan stitched into the fabric. Not the hotel's current crest. Older, faded, personal. Who hired her? Dante asked. The banquet manager appeared too quickly, sweating beneath his collar. Temporary help, Mr. Bellini. Last minute. No one important. Elena's eyes moved to him then. Not wounded. Alert. Dante saw it. The smallest disagreement in her face. She knew that sentence was wrong. She knew something, and she was deciding whether the truth was worth the cost. From behind the ballroom doors came the muffled churn of the dish machine, the ordinary thunder of plates being washed while a family quietly erased one of its own. A busboy passed with a damp towel. Elena took it from him, wrapped it around her palm, and used her uninjured hand to slide the seating card deeper into her apron pocket. Not because she was ashamed, because she was preserving it. Dante watched her do it. Temporary help usually wears Bellini uniforms, he said. The manager smiled with a mouth that had practiced surviving rich men. Her sister requested something more discreet. Family sensitivity. Vivian stepped closer, perfume arriving before her words. White roses and something cold beneath them. Mr. Bellini, I'm so sorry you're being pulled into this. Elena has always struggled with boundaries. Tonight is emotional for her. Dante did not look at Vivian. Is it? Elena's old phone buzzed again in her pocket. Once, twice. She did not reach for it until the screen lit through the thin apron fabric. A bank alert. Decline charge. Then another notification. From an unknown number. Service entrance log changed. 5:12 p.m. removed. Her breath caught so quietly only Dante saw her throat move. He held out his hand, not touching her. Your phone, he said.
Elena hesitated.
Her mother shook her head once, fast and terrified. Vivian's smile tightened by half an inch. Elena placed the cracked phone in Dante's palm anyway. On the lock screen, above the bank alert, the newest message glowed like a match in a dark room. Don't show him the card. The message did not say please. That was what made it sound less like a warning and more like an order from someone used to being obeyed. Dante held the cracked phone low enough that the guests could not read it, but Elena saw the words reflected faintly in the black glass of his watch. Don't show him the card. Her mother released her wrist as if the phone had burned her too. Vivian's smile stayed in place, but her left hand slid toward the tiny pearl purse hanging from her chair. Dante noticed that hand. He noticed everything after that. Your service log, he said to the banquet manager, not raising his voice. Bring it. The manager swallowed. Of course, sir. It's just in the office. Now. One word and the polished wedding hall became smaller. Elena could hear the ice settling in water glasses, the soft scrape of someone shifting in a chair, the string quartet faltering into a thinner version of the same song. She wanted to explain. She wanted to say she had been told to come through the south service entrance at 5:12, told to wear black, told not to sit, told not to look upset in photos because big girls always looked bitter when they were quiet. Instead, she reached into her apron and pulled out the seating card. Her fingers left a small red crescent on the white paper. He won't find the first log, she said. Vivian gave a gentle laugh, the kind meant to make Elena sound fragile before she even finished speaking. Sweetheart, you don't need to invent a conspiracy because you're hurt. Elena looked at her sister then. Really looked. The white silk gown, the diamond pins, the perfect neckline. The pearl purse now closed too tightly in her fist. I'm not inventing it, Elena said. The first log was printed on cream paper. The one in the office is white. Dante's eyes shifted to her. Not soft, not convinced, sharper. How do you know? Because the printer near the kitchen has been out of white paper since yesterday, she said. I loaded the cream paper myself after rehearsal dinner. The banquet manager returned carrying a clipboard. White paper. Too white. Too fresh. Elena did not smile. She only looked at it once and looked away. Dante took a photo of the page with his own phone before touching it. Temporary staff, the manager said, pointing with a nervous finger. See? Elena Marlowe, 6 p.m. She arrived late, actually, which may explain some confusion. The lie was clean, almost elegant, but its timing was wrong. Elena's old phone buzzed again in Dante's hand, a low rattle against his palm. A bank alert sat beneath the unknown message now. Declined. Grand Bellini parking garage, 4:49 p.m. Elena stared at it. I didn't park, she whispered. I came by bus. Vivian's eyes flicked to the phone before she could stop herself. One flicker, less than a second. Dante saw it. He did not accuse her. He only asked Elena, which entrance did you use? South Service. 512. And the garage. I've never had enough money to park here. The sentence landed harder than she meant it to. A few guests looked down at their plates, suddenly fascinated by untouched salmon and gold chargers. Dante turned to the manager. Pull the garage camera. Sir, during private events we sometimes disable sections for guest privacy. Which sections? The manager blinked. That was the first mistake. He looked at Vivian before answering. Elena saw it and spoke before fear could close her throat. Level B, she said. Near the elevator to the bridal suite. That camera was working at rehearsal. I saw the red light. Vivian's voice came softer now, almost tender. Elena, honey, you were carrying trays all night. You're tired. You notice things and then you twist them until they hurt you. Dante finally looked at Vivian. She noticed the child's allergy. Silence. She noticed the paper. More silence. She noticed the camera. He turned the seating card. Over. On the back, under the blue ink, was the first instruction written in the same neat hand as the message on Elena's phone. Keep her standing when the family photos begin. The instruction on the back of the card made the room colder without changing the temperature. Keep her standing when the family photos begin. No one laughed now, but no one defended her either. That was how power worked in rooms like this. It did not always shout. Sometimes it adjusted its cuff links and waited for the weaker person to get tired of standing. A silver-haired woman from the hotel board stepped forward, her diamonds catching the chandelier light like tiny, sharpened teeth. Mr. Bellini, she said, warm enough to sound reasonable. Perhaps this can be handled privately. Weddings are emotional. Families make seating changes. Staff misunderstand instructions. Her eyes slid to Elena's apron, then to the curve of her waist beneath it. Especially when someone is asked to perform outside her usual capacity. Elena felt the old heat rise in her face, the childhood burn of being corrected in front of people who had already decided she was too much body and not enough grace. Her mother looked at the floor. Vivian exhaled like a woman enduring an embarrassment with saintly patience. Thank you, Mrs. Alden, she said softly. Elena has always wanted to feel included. Sometimes she confuses kindness with promises. Dante did not answer either woman. He looked at Elena instead. Did they ask you to sign anything tonight? The question was so quiet it sounded almost casual. Vivian's pearl purse stopped swinging. Elena noticed that before she understood why. A witness statement, Elena said. In the bridal suite. The boardwoman smiled again, thinner now. Standard incident paperwork. A glass broke. The hotel protects itself. I'm sure no one meant to overwhelm her. Bring it, Dante said. The banquet manager hesitated. Sir, with respect, we don't usually involve ownership in minor staff disruptions. Dante turned his head just enough to make the man remember whose name was on the brass doors downstairs. The manager disappeared. The string quartet had stopped completely. In the silence, Elena could hear the damp towel tightening around her cut palm, could feel the seating card pressed against her ribs inside the apron pocket, could smell Vivian's white rose perfume drifting too close. You don't have to do this, Vivian whispered, still smiling for the room. You already made everyone look at you. Elena looked down at her name tag, crooked from when her mother had grabbed her wrist. It did not say family. It did not even say server. It said Elena temporary. She straightened it with 2 fingers and lifted her chin. I'm not signing something I didn't read. The words were small, but they landed. The manager returned with a cream folder and handed it to Mrs. Alden, not Dante. That was his second mistake. Mrs. Alden opened it, scanned the page and said, "It simply confirms she arrived late, became distressed, mishandled a tray, and caused concern near the family table." "That isn't true," Elena said. Vivian touched her arm gently, for the audience. "Elena, sweetheart, don't make this harder. You were upset. Everyone saw. Everyone saw the glass," Elena said. "Not why it fell." Dante took the folder from Mrs. Alden. He did not read the whole page. He went to the bottom, where a blank signature line waited above Elena's printed name. Then his eyes moved to the upper corner. Time prepared, 4:58 p.m. Elena had not entered the building until 5:12. For the first time, Dante's face changed. Not anger, recognition. A door closing somewhere deep inside him. Vivian smiled because she thought Elena had been cornered at last. But Dante turned the paper toward the light and saw the blue ink on the statement matched the ink that had crossed out Elena's seat. Dante held the statement under the chandelier until the blue ink caught the light. It was the same color, the same pressure, the same neat, narrow slant that had erased Elena from table 1 and prepared a lie before she ever walked through the service entrance. No one spoke. Even the champagne bubbles seemed to go quiet in their glasses. Mrs. Alden cleared her throat first, because powerful people hated silence when it did not belong to them. "Ink color is hardly evidence, Mr. Bellini. This hotel uses blue pens everywhere." "Then why was the statement prepared 14 minutes before she arrived?" Dante asked. The room did not move, but something inside it shifted. Vivian smiled gently, as if speaking to a frightened child. "Because my sister has a history of making scenes when she feels excluded." The staff were simply being proactive. Elena's fingers tightened around the damp towel. There it was again. Not a denial, a diagnosis. Her pain turned into personality. Her memory turned into drama. Her body turned into proof that she was too emotional to be believed. She reached into her apron pocket with her uninjured hand and pulled out her old phone. The cracked screen lit against her palm like a small, wounded eye. "There's a voicemail," she said. Her mother made a sound so soft it barely counted as breath. Vivian's smile stayed perfect, but the hand holding her pearl purse went still. "Elena," she said, almost lovingly, "you don't want to embarrass yourself with half a message you misunderstood." Elena looked at Dante, not begging, not asking him to save her, only making herself stand straight enough for the truth to have somewhere to land. "I saved it because she never says things twice the same way." Dante took the phone but did not press play immediately. He looked at the lock screen first. One saved number sat under favorites. The number had been disconnected for 3 years. Something in his expression changed, not toward pity, but toward recognition. A person did not keep a dead man's number pinned to the top of a phone unless the world had taken everything else. He pressed play. Static breathed through the speaker. Then Vivian's voice, bright and controlled, filled the wedding hall. "Wear the apron. Smile for the pictures. Don't touch the gift table. If anyone asks why you're standing, tell them you offered to help. You know how people get when you make them uncomfortable." The message crackled, skipped, then caught one final sentence, lower than the rest. "And don't mention Dad's envelope tonight." Silence returned heavier than before. Vivian gave a small laugh, too quick. "That was about a sentimental letter. Our father wrote many things when he was ill. Elena clings to them because grief is complicated." Dante's eyes remained on the phone. "Dad's envelope," he repeated. Mrs. Alden shifted. The banquet manager looked toward the bridal suite doors. Elena saw both movements and felt the shape of the room change. "There was a cream envelope in the family gift box," she said, "with my father's handwriting. I saw it at rehearsal. It was gone when I came in tonight." Vivian inhaled, preparing another beautiful lie. But Dante had already turned to his consigliere. Pull the hallway footage outside the bridal suite. A minute later, on a tablet held low between them, the video appeared. At 4:47 p.m., someone entered with Elena's keycard and came out holding a cream envelope. The face was turned away. The dress was white, and Dante recognized the man who opened the door for her, his own hotel manager. The tablet stayed in Dante's hand, but the room around him seemed to move farther away. His hotel manager, Marcus Vale, stood 15 feet from the bridal suite doors in the footage, holding them open like a man doing nothing more serious than helping a bride with her train. Dante watched the clip twice. He did not ask why Marcus had lied. He did not look angry enough to warn anyone. He only became still, and the stillness made the chandelier light feel colder. "Copy it," he told his consigliera. "All angles, all logs." Marcus tried a careful smile. "Mr. Bellini, with respect, wedding footage is often misunderstood without context. The bride asked me to retrieve a family item for safekeeping." Dante looked at him then. "Did she?" 2 words. "No accusation." No threat. Marcus's throat moved. Behind the ballroom doors, the dish machine roared to life, washing plates no one had finished eating. The sound filled the pause like rain against a window. Elena stood with her injured hand wrapped in a towel, the old phone pressed against her apron, and for one small second she looked less like someone waiting to be rescued than someone trying not to let the truth be buried again. "I don't want money," she said, because she could feel the room preparing that insult before anyone spoke it. "I don't want a scene. I want my father's envelope back. I want my name written where it was supposed to be. And I want them to stop saying I'm confused when I remember exactly what happened." Dante's eyes moved to her, not softly, carefully, as if she had just handed him something sharper than the phone. "What was in the envelope?" "A copy of a contract," Elena said. "My father said the hotel owed him a seat at the table. I thought he meant respect." Her voice almost broke on the last word, but she swallowed it back. "Maybe he didn't." Dante's lawyer, a thin woman in a black suit, arrived without being announced. She listened to 30 seconds of Dante's low instructions, then opened a secure folder on her tablet. Date transfers. Minority shares. Old partnership amendments. The wedding music resumed faintly, too cheerful now, almost obscene. Elena watched the lawyer's finger stop on a scanned document dated 3 years earlier, the month before her father died. Marlowe Hospitality Holdings. 2% carried interest. Beneficiary, Elena Rose Marlowe. Someone had uploaded a later page beneath it. Same contract number. Different beneficiary. Vivian Elaine Marlowe. The signature at the bottom looked like Elena's, but Elena stared at it and shook her head once. "I don't make my E like that." No one else would have noticed. Dante did. He remembered the seating card, the name tag, the old phone contact. Elena wrote her E open, rounded, almost gentle. The contract signature was narrow and sharp, like Vivian's blue instructions. Marcus said, "Forgery is a serious accusation." Dante did not blink. "So is using my hotel to hide one." For the first time, Vivian stopped smiling. Dante looked from the contract to Marcus, then to Mrs. Alden, then back at the woman everyone had been calling temporary. The truth had been standing in his ballroom with a tray in her hands, and he had almost let the room make her invisible. Dante did not move the fight to another room. He moved the room around the fight. Quietly, while the wedding guests pretended to drink champagne and not stare, his men closed the side doors, not locked, just guarded, the difference polite enough for rich people to accept and sharp enough for guilty people to feel. On the small table beside the cake, Dante placed 3 things face down: the contract, Elena's seating card, and the cream folder with the false statement. Then he asked for the family gift box to be returned to the center of the hall. Vivian laughed once, too softly. "Is this necessary? My guests are uncomfortable." Dante looked at the untouched champagne flute in her hand. "Good." Elena stood beside the service station, not beside him, not hidden behind him. Her hand still hurt beneath the towel, but she had stopped holding it against her body like an apology. She watched Marcus Vale carry the gift box in from the bridal suite, his polished shoes making no sound on the marble. He set it down carefully, too carefully. Elena noticed his right thumb never touched the brass latch. "He doesn't open things with that hand," she said quietly. Dante did not look at her. "Why?" "Ink stain," she whispered. At rehearsal dinner, he signed for the wine shipment left-handed. Tonight he keeps hiding his right thumb. Dante's eyes shifted once. That was all. He turned to Marcus. "Open it." Marcus smiled, almost relieved, and reached with his left hand. Then stopped. Tiny pause. Half a breath. Vivian saw it too, and her pearls trembled against her throat. "Marcus," Dante said, "your other hand." The room became so silent that Elena heard a phone vibrating somewhere inside Vivian's pearl purse. One short pulse after another, like a trapped insect beating against glass. Marcus flexed his right hand, then opened the box. On his thumb, near the nail, was the same blue ink. Mrs. Alden stepped in before anyone could speak. "This is absurd. A man signs paperwork. Ink transfers. We're humiliating professionals over a family misunderstanding." Elena looked at her, then asked him what color the envelope was. Mrs. Alden blinked. It was such a small question. Too small to sound dangerous. Dante turned it into a blade. "What color?" Marcus glanced at Vivian before answering. "White." Elena closed her eyes for 1 second. Not from pain. From confirmation. "It was cream," she said. "Thick paper. My father always bought the same kind from a stationery shop on West 38th because he said white paper made promises look cheap." No one laughed. Dante lifted the false statement. "This is cream too." Vivian's voice came smooth, but less steady now. "Elena remembers objects better than people. It's part of why she misunderstands intentions." "She remembered the allergy," Dante said. "The paper." He flipped the contract over. "The signature." His lawyer slid a receipt from beneath the folder. It had fallen out when Marcus opened the box. A coffee receipt for 2, charged at 4:42 p.m. in the lobby cafe. 1 iced black coffee. 1 chamomile tea with honey. Elena looked at it and felt the floor tilt. Her mother drank chamomile with honey when she was scared. Dante placed the receipt on the table without a word. Then he asked Elena's mother, gently enough to make the cruelty impossible to hide, "Were you with Marcus before your daughter arrived?" Vivian's purse buzzed again. This time, no one pretended not to hear it. Elena's mother covered her mouth. Marcus stared at the floor, and Vivian finally looked at Elena without the smile, realizing the woman she had dressed as staff had just remembered the one detail no one had thought to erase. Vivian's purse kept vibrating, but no one reached for it. The sound was small, almost delicate, and somehow more frightening than a scream. Dante looked from the receipt to Elena's mother, then to Marcus, then finally to Vivian, whose face had become too still to be innocent. "Answer it," Dante said. Vivian's fingers tightened around the pearls at her wrist. "It's my wedding day." Elena's mother whispered, "Vivian, please." That please was different from the one she had used on Elena. It was not an order. It was fear. Elena stepped forward before the room could swallow her again. Her apron brushed the cake table, and the towel around her palm had turned pink beneath the lights. "Don't answer it," she said. Every face turned to her. Vivian almost smiled, relieved. Then Elena reached into the small pocket sewn inside the apron and pulled out a tiny black recorder, no bigger than a lipstick tube. "Play this first." The air left the room. Elena placed it beside the seating card, the contract, the receipt, and the false statement. "Dad used to record meetings when his hearing got bad," she said. "I found this in the gift box at rehearsal under his envelope. I thought he left it for me." Dante did not touch it right away. For the first time all night, something like pain moved across his face. Not softness. Recognition. His father had built the Bellini name on silence and signatures, on rooms where the poor never got microphones and the rich never had to repeat themselves. And here, under his chandelier, in his hotel, a woman had needed a dead man's recorder to be believed. "Play it," he said. The speaker crackled. For 3 seconds, there was only fabric rustling and distant piano music. Then Marcus's voice came through, low and irritated. She saw the envelope. Vivian answered, sharper than anyone in the ballroom had ever heard her. Then make her look unstable. Put her in the apron. Move her seat. If she cries, they'll believe anything. Elena's mother began to cry without sound. The recording continued. Mrs. Alden's voice appeared next, cool and businesslike. Once she signs the incident statement, the amended beneficiary page won't be challenged tonight. The transfer can close before midnight. Marcus said, and Dante? Vivian laughed once. He doesn't notice staff unless they spill something. The word struck harder than the insult. Dante did not move. He did not blink. He only looked at Elena, and for one awful second, the truth was not about Vivian at all. It was about him. He had built a hotel where a woman could be erased in front of 200 people and still be called disruptive for bleeding on the floor. Elena lifted her chin. My name was never missing, she said, her voice shaking but unbroken. It was removed. The recording ended with a click so soft it sounded like a lock turning. Vivian opened her mouth, but no beautiful sentence came out. Dante picked up the seating card, laid it flat in front of his lawyer, then removed his cuff links slowly and placed them beside the recorder. Call my attorney, he said. Call my attorney, Dante said, and the wedding did not end with screaming. It ended with signatures being frozen, doors being watched, and people who had spoken so easily about Elena suddenly forgetting how to meet her eyes. The transfer was stopped before midnight. Mrs. Alden was removed from the hotel board within the hour, escorted past the same floral arch where she had smiled and called Elena confused. Marcus Vale surrendered his access card at the security desk, his name already marked for termination and legal review. Vivian's groom stood beneath the chandelier with his ring still in his hand, listening as Dante's lawyer explained the forged beneficiary page, the false incident statement, the missing envelope, and the recording that made every polite lie sound dirty in the open air. He did not shout at Vivian. He only closed the ring box. The sound was small, but it broke her more cleanly than rage would have. Elena's mother was the last to speak. She stood at table 1 with mascara streaked down her face, one hand pressed to the chair that had been hidden beneath the linen. She is my daughter, she said, voice shaking so badly the microphone caught every fracture. She was invited as family, and I let them make her stand. Elena did not run to her. She did not forgive fast just because the room wanted a softer ending. She only nodded once, because the truth had finally been said where the lie had been born. Dante had the hotel records corrected before the guests left. Elena Rose Marlowe, minority beneficiary, pending full legal protection. Her stolen wages from unpaid event work were reimbursed, tripled under penalty. The hospital invoices Vivian had used to frighten their mother into silence were sent to Dante's legal charity, not as pity, but as evidence of financial coercion. A protective trust was opened in Elena's name, with an independent attorney chosen by her, not by the family. When a staff member brought a clean uniform to replace her stained one, Dante stopped him. Not that one. Then he took the old black apron with the faded silver swan, the one everyone had treated like proof she belonged in the back, and laid it carefully over the chair at table 1. This stays, he said. It was never shameful. For the first time all night, Elena touched the embroidered swan without trying to hide it. Her father's envelope lay beside it, open now, his original contract inside, his handwriting steady across the final line. My daughter has a seat even if I am not there to pull it out. Elena read it once, then again. Her injured hand trembled, but this time no one laughed. Hours later, after the guests were gone and the ballroom smelled of blown-out candles and rain on wool coats, Dante found her in the quiet hotel cafe with a cup of hot coffee between her palms. Her old phone sat beside it, cracked screen glowing with one saved number that would never call back. Dante did not sit until she nodded. You were right, he said. Elena looked at the apron folded over the chair across from her. Clean now except for one faint blue ink stain that would not wash out. No, she said softly. I was heard. And for once, in a room built by powerful men, that was enough.